And hold on just a sec. There we go. I own and direct Big Picture Gallery and Studio. And today we are going to do some painting with acrylic paints. We're going to do a flower. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all so that you can see what I'm doing while I'm working.
Recording in progress.
Okay. So, oh my goodness, there's a really big echo. Is that going to go away? It went away. Okay, good. So the painting that we are going to be doing, this is a sample that I did. This piece is a little bit bigger than the one that we're going to do tonight. But yeah, color-wise, I want to start by talking about color because you can choose whatever kind of a color palette.
I cannot hear her though.
Is someone having trouble?
I should bring a speaker down.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute everybody, and then if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself to talk with us. Oh my gosh, I haven't been on Zoom for a while. I have to
I'm gonna
remember how to do things. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing we want to do tonight is select a color palette. So in your kits, you should have the rainbow of colors plus black and white. And this gives you, with mixing, a pretty good variety of colors to choose from. When you select your colors, you want to be thinking about a color, a main color for your flower, and then a color that will contrast with that flower. So, for example, if you choose to paint a yellow flower, you then don't want to paint a yellow or an orange background, unless you want it to not have a pop. So my recommendation is to choose colors that will create contrast, and there's lots of ways to do that. You can use black in your background. You can create a gray for your background. You can mix a lighter tint of a color, which is creating a color by mixing white. That a tint is a lighter value of a color. But that's the first step, is to kind of decide, okay, what color do I want my flower to be? And then what color do I want my background to be? So I think tonight I'm feeling the idea of this light blue in my flower, and then I think what I'll do is I'll mix some orange and white to create a peachy tone for my background, and I think that'll be really beautiful. Now those are two lighter colors, but I will try to make my peach really, really, really light so that it still contrasts with the value, which means the lightness or darkness of the color will contrast, as well as the hue, which is the actual color itself, so the blue and the orange. And then you can also accent your flower with black and white, with yellow if you want. Like you can see here, I did some yellow accents, or with colors that are kind of similar to your flower color, analogous colors. Like for the blue, that could be a green or a purple. I just realized I made my rainbow out of order. So to get started, we are going to work with our smaller, rounder brush, and we're just going to start painting in. I'm going to see if I can set this up so you can still see some of the flower. We're going to start by painting in the center of our flower, and you can put it wherever you want except in the center of your paper. Don't put the center of the flower in the center of the paper, because you're going to have a much more interesting composition if you have the asymmetrical balance. So it creates some tension, some energy within your canvas to pull that center of the flower off of the center of the paper. So if you take your smaller round brush and you start with I tend to be drawn to the lower left corner, but that doesn't have to be where you do yours. We're just gonna pick a place and we're gonna start with a little yellow dot like that. Kind of hard to see. I'll mix a little green into my yellow so you can see it better on the screen there. We're gonna add green anyway, so I'll just do it right away. So we're just gonna make little circles like that. So start with one in the middle, and then just keep adding those circles around. And you can make your center as big or as small as you want it to be. I'm gonna add some more yellow back into mine. And if you can twirl your brush around a little bit, like I'm doing, you'll get a little bit of a texture there that'll give it that sort of a center of a flower, like a seed. Um, will be. And then once you get it about the size that you want it, you can take a little bit of your green. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You can either just go right in there with the green, that makes it kind of pop more, like I'm doing, or you can mix your yellow and your green. To make a yellow green color. Now, if you have a paper plate at home, you can use that to mix, or you can also mix in the little plastic lids of your paint set. And something I forgot to mention at the beginning of our time, you will want a cup of water. It could be any old cup that you don't care about, and a paper towel so that you can wash and dry your brush. So I like the differentiation of the colors. I like having them not blended completely together. So I'm doing this with the darker green and letting it kind of pop out around my yellow. And then I'll probably come back in and add some more yellow. One of the things about painting natural things like flowers or landscapes is there are thousands and thousands of colors in these things. And so when we paint them, the more layering of color we do, the more natural our work will look. So I'll just come back in with a little more yellow and it's continuing that circular motion. So I'm painting on a paper instead of a canvas, like you all have a canvas. Your paint won't dry as fast as mine. So you don't necessarily have to go as quickly as I'm going. I really want to add a little more green down here. Even that out. And one of the nice things about doing this over Zoom is that you're already at home, so you don't have to worry about trying to get your wet painting home. Um, so you can really lay that paint on thick if you want to. Thick layers of paint where it becomes like three-dimensional and sticks up off the surface. That's called impasto. And lots of post-impressionist painters, specifically Van Gogh, you'll see that a lot in his work. And so impasto can be a really nice, add a really nice dimension to your work of the real texture. So I'm pretty happy with that as far as the yellow green blend. So I'm actually gonna take, and this card is optional, but I always like to take a little bit of black. I'm a fan of black in nature paintings and just kind of dot it like here and there. Just kind of break up this center a little bit. I'm gonna go around the center of my flower. Seems like it's gonna rain here in North Liberty. I'm just gonna do a little black, smoother black outline here too around that. I might mix some of this yellow green with some black just to give myself a shade. So a darker value of a color that's made by mixing the color with black is called a shade. You do want to be careful when you work with black because mixing shades, because it can really overtake your color really quickly. And I can go back in if I want with more yellow and just kind of keep on layering that. Mm. I think I'm gonna mix up a little more yellow green and add a few more dots to that, and then I'm gonna call it good. A little yellower. Okay. So when you are finished with your center, if you can give me like the thumbs up symbol in your, okay, cool. You can either do it yourself or you can do it with your Zoom tools. I think it's I haven't been on Zoom in a long time. So I try to remember. I think is it in the chat that you do that?
I think if you have like this, it's in the more, and then you click on the more, there should be like some emojis. It happens on my side.
Okay, maybe I don't see it because I'm the host. But hopefully you guys can find it. I may not have that option. Thank you for sharing that. So we'll give everyone a few minutes to finish up that center. And then if you haven't already decided what color you're going to use, go ahead and think about that and see if you know what color you'd like to use. See if you can figure that out. I'm still trying to find the, so weird. Maybe I can't do it because I'm sharing my screen. I'm not sure. Okay. Everybody cool if we move on? Okay, so the next part we're gonna do is to actually create the petals of the flower. Now the petals of the flower are large and they go off the page. So this is always a little tricky, I think, for people. You have to think about, don't think about it as if the flower stops, the page stops, not the flower. So actually, if you want to just watch me, I'm gonna use my paintbrush to draw out my petals, and then you'll kind of get a sense of how I do it, and then you can give it a try. So I'm actually gonna use my larger paintbrush for this. You can try it with your smaller one. It's really personal preference, but I find that I actually have more control in a drawing sense with a larger brush. So I'm gonna dip mine in my water and kind of squeeze my bristles together before I dip it in the paint, just because that gives it a really nice tight surface to work with. And then I'm going to dip into my flower color, which is blue. And I'm gonna come at my paper like this. So I'm going straight down vertically to give myself a thin line. And then I'm just gonna kind of sketch out my petals. So there's 1, 2. So now this one's gonna go off the page a little bit. So you wanna kind of think about, the petal is continuing, it's just that the paper is stopping. So I find sometimes people kind of try to scrunch up their petals to make them fit, but that, you don't have to do that. So I'm actually gonna do this one here next. That kind of comes up here. And then this, you're not gonna see much of this one. It's just a tiny bit there. Then I can go in and add some additional petals where there may be bigger gaps. So go ahead and draw out your petals with your brush. And then once you have those petals drawn out, you can start painting them in. And just go ahead and paint them your primary color and just paint a flat layer of color. And then we'll go back in to add highlights and lowlights. Okay. So actually, if everyone wants to take a quick break from what you're doing and look up here, I'm going to go ahead and show you right now how to blend shadow and highlight into your petal because my paint is going to dry really fast. If you want to, I kind of recommend actually doing it petal by petal rather than filling the whole thing in blue or whatever color you're using and then adding your highlight and shadow. Because if the paint's still wet, then you can get a really nice blend. If the paint dries, you'll need to add some more blue or whatever color you're using to get a good blend. So I'm going to take just a little bit of black on my brush, not too much, just a little bit. And I'm going to kind of dust it along the edge there of my petal. And it just kind of blends really nicely into that blue. Now, depending on how sharp of a contrast you want, you could leave it like that. Or you could come back in with some more blue or whatever color you're using and kind of blend that out and go over it a bit. But this is gonna help define your petals so that you can see, once you paint in the color, you can see, where the petals differentiate from each other. So you can add some shadow. You can also add some highlight. Now the highlight is something that you might want to wait on if you want it to be really sharp, because the white will kind of blend in with the color. You can start and do a little bit of highlight and let it blend in. And then after it's dry, you can come back and add some more pronounced highlights if you'd like to. You can also add, so a lot of flowers have little bits of like black running through them, I've noticed. So you can add, so for this, I'm actually gonna clean my brush off and I'm gonna get all the blue out of there so that I can get a more pure black. I'm gonna kind of go along the edge and of the center, and I'm going with my brush vertical again, just like I did when I drew out my, I'm gonna make kind of these little, just a little bit of black that sort of transitions the middle part of the flower, the seeds, the center into the petal there. And I might add just a bit of that with the corner of my brush into the center as well. The black, yeah, something like that. You could add a few little bits of black throughout your petal. Again, that's optional. You can also add another color. So, but you want it to be an analogous color, meaning you want it to be similar, like on the same side of the color wheel. So for blue, I could use purple or I could use green. I might, I'm torn. I think I'll mix up a little bit of a turquoise. I'll mix some green and blue. Maybe I'll use that to accent my flower. I'm not sure how the purple would look the way I want it to look. So mix that up. That's kind of nice, that little bit of green in there. That turquoise might be pretty with a bit of white in it too. So I will go ahead and add some white. Also, just a heads up, everybody. I have no idea what time it is because for some reason the clock on my computer says that it's, oh, I guess I can look at my iPad. Okay. My computer says that it's 2:39 p.m. I do not know why it says that, but it's kind of tripping me out a little what time it is. Okay. I'm gonna try this lightened up too and see. That's kind of nice too. So you can really play with color in this painting and layer colors. So I'm going to go on to my next blue petal, and I'm going to start just how I did with the other one. I'm just going to fill it in with a flat blue. So when I say flat, it means that there's no shadow or highlight, no undulation of color showing. It's just one flat, plain color. And I'm going to add that shadow kind of right in here because this leaf is on top of this. So there's going to be a shadow there. So again, just a small amount of black. With black, you always want to start small and then add more if you want more. And then I'm going to pull it out this way. And that's going to kind of make it look like this petal is casting a shadow onto this other petal. And again, depending on how dramatic you like things, you can leave it like this, or you can bring in a little more of your color, just kind of tone it down, make it a little more subtle. I like it dramatic because I like the pop that a black gives a painting. Also, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit, you can try to create a darker black right next to where the shadow would be, and then transition that, make it more of a gradient as it moves out into the petal as the shadow fades. Something like that. Then we'll add a little white highlight. You also want to think about the direction of your strokes. So like here, I kind of made my strokes on my shadow move outwards like they would be going, this way across the petal. But with my highlight, I made it more of straight up and down. And if I changed it and made it match my shadow, it would be more like that. So either way works. It's just your personal preference. We're not like, if we were doing some kind of still life, we might want to be more precise about it. But in this case, either approach is fine. Let's add a little of this turquoise in here. I just need to grab a little more blue paint. So if you have questions or anything, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. I'm just gonna continue the same process that I've been doing. And I'm just gonna let you guys work now, but please let me know if you have any questions. You can really see the difference that adding the shadow and the highlight and a little bit of an accent color makes when you look at these two petals in comparison to this one. That flat blue color just looks so unnatural. The flat color is great for certain applications, anything like really modern or contemporary, cartoons, these kinds of things. Flat color is great, but when we're trying to make something that has a little bit of a natural or an organic feel, flat color is not so great. One technique I use to give it kind of a feathery or tapered effect is I kind of flick, like as I'm making a stroke, I'll press down and then as I get to the end, I'll kind of flick my wrist a little bit. And that helps create a nice kind of tapery, feathery look. If you want to try that out. Okay, I need to mix up a little more turquoise here. This. another technique that you can try, if your paint is really wet and it's hard to apply the black without it blending, sometimes I'll kind of dab it instead of stroke my brush. You can also turn your canvas if it helps you reach different parts of it. One of the cool things about these pieces is when you're all finished, you can look at it from multiple orientations and decide which way you think it's the most beautiful. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the way that you started it out. Okay, I'm getting close here. I've got 2 more petals to do. How's everybody else doing? Good? Awesome.
How come we started with the flower first and not the background?
That's a great question. That's just the way that I like to do it. If you paint in the whole background first, depending on your color choices, you would either have to paint the flower like white, like a layer of white first, in order to get a vibrant color, or you would have color change. So, like for example, if you painted your background a dark color and then you tried to paint a light flower on top, it wouldn't work very well. If you painted your background a light color with a dark flower on top, that would work. But to give everyone like more flexibility with their color, I like to do it this way. But if you were doing something like this and you knew, like for example, this color combination, I could start with my background and then paint my flower on top of it. But the colors with acrylic paints, and I don't do a lot of oil painting, so if you've done oil painting, this may be different. Um, but with acrylic paints, underlayered colors can really affect the colors on top. And so that's the reason I like to do it this way. It does add a little more work because you have to edge around the flower, but you end up with a nicer looking color palette or vibrancy in your color. So once you've finished your petals, you can kind of give it a good examination and see if there's anything you'd like to change or add to the coloring of the petals, the shape of the petals. And then we'll fill in our background. So I'm gonna get some more white paint because I wanna mix up like a really subtle, super subtle peach color for my background. Something that's gonna really look really light against my blue. So to do that, I wanna make sure that my brush is really nice and clean. And when you're mixing colors, a good rule to follow is you always want to mix the darker color into the lighter color. So in this case, when we're working with white and orange, orange is our darker color. And start with just a little bit. Now, you don't have to mix a color for your background. You could just use a straight color too. I'm just going to start with a really small amount of orange because I can always add more. But once I mix it up, I can't really take it away. I kind of have, if I get it too dark, then I have to start it over. So I'm gonna stir that little bit in and see what that gives me. And that's actually perfect. That's even a little bit darker than I had envisioned, but I think it'll work okay. And so then I'm just gonna kind of carefully edge around my petals. So you could use a medium or a large brush for this. The nice smooth strokes. So where we talked about having impasto, that thicker layer of paint on our flower petals, you probably don't want that on your background. So just smooth it out really carefully. And I love how subtle that peach tone is. It's almost like a really pale coral or a shell color against that blue. It's really nice. Okay, so I think my piece, I think I'm pretty happy with my piece. You can check for little areas where there's bare canvas showing through. Just put some finishing touches once you get to this stage. And then of course you can try it out, try looking at it from different angles. I think I like mine this way. So when you're finished, if you are willing to share your piece, I would love to see your end product. I'm always curious to see what everyone ends up with for their painting. So just you can hold it up in your screen for me if you're willing to share.
How would you recommend doing the sides for finishing?
The sides of the canvas, you can paint them the same color as your background if you want.
Okay, before we show off and stuff like that, how many people, I'm curious, have done this before?
Anybody done this before, guys? We have several friends who don't have their videos on, so I don't know.
I've never done that. I've never done this before.
Oh, it's beautiful. Ooh, I love the orange and the minty green color too. The red and the deeper red and the yellow is gorgeous. Very nice.
What is the red? Interesting.
I'm only 8 and I painted this.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You guys could also tell us your names if you'd like to when you share. Nice job. I love the colors that you guys chose. It's always fun to see the color combos that people come up with. Ooh, I love the blue. Is the background on that one colored yet or not?
No, I didn't do the background yet.
What color are you going to do the background?
I don't know. What color I'd use the same color palette as you, so I should do peach maybe, huh?
Good, yeah. It might look really pretty, like with a bright red too.
Oh, okay. Well,
Or
that's a
dual
good
tone,
suggestion.
if you want to
I want to ask her.
experiment with that.
Is your sister named Sarah and she's a hairdresser?
She is, yeah.
She does my hair. Yes.
Oh, really? What's your name?
Deb Loker. I
Deb
just
Loker.
texted her because you guys sound alike. You have the same hands. I'm watching your hands and everything. So I think that's so funny.
Oh, that is so funny. Yeah, our voices are very similar.
You sound just alike. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Well,
gosh,
nice to meet
that's
you.
crazy. Nice to meet you too. Thanks for meeting with me tonight.
It was fun.
Good. Very good. We have about 10 minutes left, everybody. So if you're finished, you are welcome to sign off. If you want to hang out and see what others created tonight, you are also more than welcome to hang out. But thank you all. If you do sign off, thank you for painting with me. It was a nice, relaxing, fun way to spend a Thursday evening. And then tomorrow's Friday, so yay.
Okay, we've got 3 here.
All right, let's see them.
Show yours first one.
You got to get closer because of
Yeah,
the.
show yours first.
Here, I'm gonna see if I can spotlight you guys. There we go. Ooh, I love the purple and the pink. It's very dancey looking.
And then this is my 14-year-old.
Ooh, nice. What color for the background are you thinking?
I was thinking just doing white because I was going to do like the back petals like yellow.
Ah, yeah, that'll be beautiful.
Oh, like the little ones that are behind. You're gonna do yellow. Oh, that's cute. And then that one's mine.
Ooh, I love your center. It's really compelling. Definitely a nice focal point there. Excellent. Thanks for sharing, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for painting with me.
Thanks to the library too. This was fun.
Yes, I think he'll be
So
popping.
I have done with mine.
Ooh, nice complementary colors with the blue and orange there. Really cool. I love the background.
Thank you.
Is it a little more yellow there at the bottom? Did you do like a gradient from yellow to orange? Or is-
You mean the background?
yeah.
Yeah, mostly just the orange.
Oh, I wonder if it's just the lighting then, because it looks like it's a little more yellow on the bottom, but that's really pretty the way it does that.
Oh,
Must just be the light.
probably because because the yellow and orange, they are too close, so I sort of mashed them up.
Oh, well, it worked out for you really well. It looks beautiful that way.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks. It's really fun.
Good. I'm glad you had fun.
All right, that's what I got. That was fun. Thank you.
Ooh, beautiful. The purple and the yellow are really nice. I like that kind of lilac-y outline too. Thank you for sharing.
That's fun.
Awesome. All right. Do we have anyone else who hasn't gotten a chance to share that wanted to share? Just checking. Okay. Looks like we finished up a few minutes early, which is totally fine. So you guys are welcome to hang out if you want or to sign off for tonight. Thank you again for painting with me. And I hope to see you again sometime.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Night. Bye.
Thanks for painting.
Thank you.
My pleasure.